It was at Barcelona where Guardiola made his name as a player and as a coach, nurturing one of the greatest teams in history, winning the Champions League twice and the Spanish title 3 times. He did it all in Barcelona's signature style too, the one he learned as a player under the great Johan Cruyff and later summarized as I take the ball, I give the ball, I take the ball, I give the ball. Barcelona remembers Guardiola because by birth and by inclination he is one of his own. Yet to view all of his successes simply as a product of one institution is unjust. His influences are far more varied. Before taking charge at Barcelona, he sought out the views of Marcelo Bielsa, the great Argentine coach. He has also sought advice from Ferran Adria, the chef among others, and perhaps most significant, as his playing days were drawing to a close, he made his way to Culiacan so he could play for and pick the brain of Juan Manuel Lillo, a little-known, much-travelled Spanish coach he had always admired. It is a curious chapter but a crucial one in Guardiola's career. If it was in Barcelona that his ideas were formed, it was in Mexico where they were refined. Statistically, Juan Manuel Lillo is not a successful manager, managing 18 teams over his 30-year-long career and being sacked by half of them. His winning percentage stands at a humble 37%. But even then, he is regarded as one of the greatest footballing minds ever, even by those critics who think theory is one thing, reality another. A man who loves a dialectic battle, boasts a library of 10,000 volumes and a complete collection of the world's foremost football magazines and newspapers, and talks at length on theories of complexity. He is a determined defender of an expensive footballing style, placing positioning over all else. It is a style given expression many years later by Barcelona and the Spanish national team. He started his management career at a young age of 17 as the boss of his hometown club Tolosa FC in the Spanish 3rd Division. Within a year, he was hired by Club Deportivo Mirandes, where he won them promotion to the 2nd Division the same year. However, constant disagreements with the club's board saw him sacked in his 2nd season. Soon enough, he was signed by Cultural Leonesa in Segunda B. It was in Cultural Leonesa where he began to use the now popular 4-2-3-1 formation, a system where the players pressed high up the pitch, had more spaces closer to the opponent's goal, and moved the ball with purpose. He had laid the foundation to juego de posición, commonly known as positional play, a tactic which would become famous under perhaps the most dominant side in footballing history, Pep Guardiola's Barcelona. In 1992, he signed for UD Salamanca. His use of his 4-2-3-1 formation saw his side promote to the top tier, becoming the youngest manager to coach a La Liga team. This remains his most successful spell to date. However, his team could not survive the top tier and after 4 years in charge, he was fired from the job in 1996. He managed 3 football clubs in the following 4 years without ever finding substantial results. However, it was after a match that his side Real Oviedo lost 4-2 to Barcelona that the future of football would change forever. Although his side had lost, they had put on a masterclass and made Barca look like a mid-table team. There was one person in particular who was in awe of Leo's tactics, a young central midfielder by the name of Josep Guardiola. The story goes that Pep had been so mesmerized by Oviedo's play, he had to meet the man behind the scheme. After the game, he asked to meet the coach, Leo. They chatted about tactics for hours and cemented a friendship which would lead to one of the football's greatest exchange of ideas. They would go on to work together in Mexico 9 years later. Following his poor spell with Real Oviedo, Tenerife and Real Zaragoza from 1996 to 2000, he didn't receive any offers until Segunda side Real Murcia needed his services. He could not keep the job for much long either. Within a few months, he was dismissed. In next to no time, Terrassa wanted him to deliver the same magic potion he delivered at Salamanca. Unfortunately, Leo was dismissed from that post too. In 2005, he left Spain to take the manager's job at Dorados de Sinaloa in Liga MX. Pep Guardiola was gaining coaching qualifications at this time. Leo in Mexico was trying to save Dorados de Sinaloa from relegation, and to do so, he needed a manager on the field who can dictate the style of play. Guardiola jumped at a chance to play for the man whose mark he admired so much. Even though Pep was in the final years of his playing career, the news still made a splash. One of the most prolific midfielders in history was going to the forgotten Mexican border town for one reason: Juan Manuel Lillo. Those training sessions under the scorching Mexican sun must have been one of the most tactically enlightening periods in football history. Two brilliant minds experimenting, discovering, testing like two obsessed scientists in a dark underground laboratory, perfecting their creations. In the end, they were relegated, but that wasn't the purpose of their trial. They were in search of their life's quest. These two geniuses longed for beautiful football. Guardiola has never hidden his admiration for Leo, describing him as the coach that along with Johan Cruyff had the greatest influence upon him. And when Leo talks about Barcelona, he can't help talking about we. He has guided Guardiola And during his first months as Barcelona B coach and then first team manager, he unofficially helped prepare Guardiola's sessions. It could have been official once. Luis Bassat ran for the presidential elections in 2003. His sporting director was going to be Guardiola, the coach, Juanma Leo. Bassat, though, lost. 6 years would pass before Guardiola took over. Officially, Leo had no role at all, even though his fingerprints were all over the project. On 20th November 2010, the two football philosophers faced each other in a match, and Pep Guardiola's Barcelona scored 8 past Leo's Almeria, costing Leo his final managerial post in Spain. Minutes after Pep sheepishly hugged Juanma when the match ended, Leo was fired. His life's work had been used against him, but Leo was not bitter, for he saw the fruit of his work blossoming in the fields of Camp Nou under Guardiola. The world was finally a witness to beautiful football, his life's work. His work had not been in vain. He knew it wasn't about the result at the end of each match, but the transformation his players had made. The progress report wasn't a score sheet on match days, but the daily training session. His success wasn't quantifiable like the press, club directors, and sponsors had so often believed. Leo's brilliance is in his thoughts and ideas, in his words and statements, in his approach and interactions. Most managers' careers are scrutinized under the scope of results, but Leo's requires a deeper view in his mind and into every one of his words.